Yes, he did. He gives it to Henry. Henry trying to track this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Great Sports Debates Today. Today we want to hit some of the recent highlights as well as talk about the second round of the NBA. So first we'll start with something we typically don't talk about here, the WNBA. Caitlin Clark had her first game. It was alright by the same metrics most people go by. You know, she scored a lot of points. I think she had like 21 or something. It was on the too often, not so great efficiency. I think she was 6 of 15. But again, most of those things are three-point shots. At this point, a lot of it looks like she's a three-point shooter. Her team didn't win the game, but then again, it is only preseason. So the fact that preseason game was making news and people were talking about that. You had the Aces that are the first WNBA team that have sold out their games. And then you got the Fever, which I'm sure is going to be not far behind with the Caitlin Clark effect. And all the coverage, ESPN's going to be covering more games. Obviously, it's going to be mostly her games. But I think at this point, that's all going to be all good signs for them. And possibly an opportunity for them to up their TV contract. Because I'm thinking with the new players they have coming in, they're probably going to have ratings at least the same or similar to hockey, and their TV deal's like 10 times less, I think, last time I checked. So maybe not something they can renegotiate right away, but something to look into the future. So we'll also be doing another video on draft grades at some point. We'll probably do that at the same time as our wins and losses for the NFL, but I do want to slip right into the second round of the NBA playoffs, because to me that's the biggest thing going on right now. So the first game started last night, and this is going to be one of the trickiest series. This could be the two best teams in the league right now. I mean, when you look at the things that actually matter, not just counting all-stars, but teams that can play well together. You have Boston, Minnesota, Denver. Teams that are long and have a lot of big players. Denver, Minnesota, a lot of length. Top defensive teams. Boston, Minnesota, Denver. You're seeing all these similarities. So it's really unfortunate these two teams have to play in the second round. And I've been saying all year I'm on Denver. If you haven't made a bet yet, maybe it's a good time to just pause and see how this series goes out after Minnesota took game one. I still think Denver's going to win, but, Minnesota's shown that they can beat Denver. They beat them in Denver. It was the first time that Denver's lost on their home court going back about 2 months. And yeah, that team they lost to then in Denver was Minnesota. So this is definitely a tough matchup. They have multiple 7-footers or close to big guys with length that they can switch on to Joker. You had Towns guarding them. You had Gobert, of course. You had Naz Reid and, other guys filling in for short little spurts. But, you think about right there, all those guys are big. Plus they have athletic, long dudes that are close to that big, like, Jade McDaniels. So this is a team that's going to make a lot of tough shots for anybody they play. So I thought Denver was going to have the edge as far as ending game strategy, but they let Minnesota just get too far ahead late. And Minnesota probably has more balanced firepower across the fact that you have guys like Conley that don't really score much but can have nights or can have matchups, and he's played pretty well against Denver. Naz Reid's a sixth man for a reason. Obviously he's a good defender, but he showed in the fourth quarter he can do some damage as well. And then the guy that you're all waiting to hear about, Anthony Edwards. So I know last year this time frame we were expecting big things for Ant this regular season based on his playoff performance and the fact that he really has the ability to do anything. It's a matter of if he's missing shots, but I mean, he can get to the rack, he can shoot the three, he can get by anybody, he can create his own shot, he can post up, he can blow by, he can do a lot of stuff. He's super athletic, and he's got a really good skill set, and he's a smart player, and I think he's still only like 22 years old. So he balled out last round in the playoffs, and he had an amazing game this game in the playoffs. I think he had 25 in the first half. He dropped 12 or something big in the fourth quarter. Another 40-point game for him. This is almost seeming commonplace, but he's not like some of the other young stars coming up. I mean, he does it on both ends. He shuts guys down. He had several steals that he turned into transition baskets, blocks. Like, this guy can do it all. So he's going to be a problem. So between all of that we've said, plus all the guys they've been able to switch up on Jokic, I thought Kenny Smith on TNT made a great point that they were able to not only speed up Jokic, but what I also noticed was he was running around, wasting energy in a lot of areas you typically wouldn't see him do so. And I thought it was a great game. I thought both teams played great, honestly. So this is going to be one hell of a series. So looking at the other side in the Western Conference, is going to be another great series. I mean, the Western Conference is loaded. There's a lot of good teams in the Western Conference. So we knew that this second round was going to be fire. These are all conference finals teams minimum at this point, typically of what you'd see. You got OKC, who's the number 1 seed. But people forget Dallas has played great, about as good as anybody since the trade deadline. They have a lot of good defenders, so much so that it's got Kyrie Irving bought in, where he's trying to play defense. Now you got him and Luka playing defense, surrounded by a bunch of good athletic defenders. That's a scary thought. I mean, all these teams that are left, that are, especially on the Western Conference side, plus Boston, are the top defensive team. So it goes to show that defense still matters in the NBA. And people that say that they don't play defense anymore, watch the series in the Western Conference. These guys play better defense than any of these teams you really see from the other areas. Obviously, there were great defensive teams, like the Bulls and so on, we could go through. But, I mean, overall, these guys play really good defense. They have all the pieces to challenge shots. I challenge you to find teams that play defense like this. There's going to be some one or twos, but overall, these are all really good defensive teams. So I was surprised to find that this series is pretty much even money. So go with who you want here. I went OKC. I could definitely see Dallas winning, though. I mean, they have 2 awesome scorers. They got great defenders all the way around, and guys that can make plays. But OKC has been great on both ends for the whole year, and they're the number 1 seed for a reason. I mean, you got Lou Dort, that's just an awesome defender and great hustle guy that you don't see a lot of those guys like that anymore. You have Holmgren, Chet, and he can play smaller guys inside, and he can take bigger guys outside and make shots. Plus, he can be a deterrent at the rim as well. SGA is a fabulous player on both ends. He knows how to get shots. He knows how to get people involved. He can score. He can play defense. And then you got Jalen Williams, who was also received in that Paul George trade. That's not looking that good for the Clippers. But Jalen Williams is a solid piece as well. So I like their team top to bottom. I feel like OKC has a lot more ways to win. Obviously, you're not going to be able to shut down, Luka. Luka's going to take shots whether he's making them or missing them. The only thing you can do is make the shots hard for him. And then you have Kyrie, which I think is the X factor, because, if he's taking over games, it could be hard for OKC to catch up. But I'm really interested in this because, both these teams are really good defensively, but they both have guys that are absolute, MVP level scorers. So interesting to maybe look at some of the regular season games and kind of gauge where that, total points might be. That might be one you can get a good bet on before the series starts kind of revealing itself. So obviously Western Conference playoffs completely loaded. So if we look at the other side of it, 2 seed, the New York Knicks, and they got the Pacers. Knicks are a decent size favorite here. They're like minus 285. We put some good money on that. I don't like the Pacers at all. They were having a hard time with a shorthanded Bucks team. It's kind of hard because I don't think New York is on the level of any of the Western Conference teams remaining or Boston. However, Brunson has shown that he can kind of score at will. And, Robinson and Hargensock, they have a couple of bigs that make it tough inside and can get put back dunks. And then you got Hart, that's kind of the Swiss Army knife. Like, this team plays hard. They're coached by Tibbs, so they're going to play good defense. I think that they're going to be too tough for the Pacers. Give me the Knicks here. And then in the final matchup, it's going to be the winner of today's game in the Cavs Magic series versus Boston. Boston's going to destroy them. The only question is what bets you want to make. I'm assuming Boston's going to be a gaudy number favorite, so you might have to parlay that with something. So, and I'm talking about series betting here. Maybe look to pair Boston with a couple of the matches you like. Maybe you pair Boston with New York and you get a little bit of a more friendly number, or, look at some of the player bets. On that note, I'm going to give you a couple. Obviously, if you're a member on the channel, you get all the bets that we make, and it's usually a lot of bets every day, especially this time in the playoffs. But, look at the obvious. I mean, Brunson's going to score points. Obviously, that number is going to be high. There's a few weaknesses, though, that we've captured game in, game out. If you watch the Clippers series, every single one, part of our parlay was Zubac over his points and over his rebounds number, and he got it every single game of the series. So there's things like that you'll see if you're a member, where, some of the weaknesses that we find that we just kind of sprinkle into the system every time. And those are going to help your wins, your daily wins. And keep those parlay legs short. You want 2-3 tops. Unless it's just a small bet for fun type one. You see we do sometimes. We'll do a 9 leg or something. But, we're only throwing like $50 on it because, that's more of a for fun bet. And if it hits, that's great. So that's all I got for the NBA playoffs. We hit on the WNBA. Let me know what you want to see from us next. We will talk about draft grades, and we'll talk about NFL win totals when we start seeing those numbers and making those bets. Maybe probably after the NBA season has finished, but we'll keep you posted. Let me know in the comments section what you want to see next. Drop a like, and thanks for watching.
No, T-Mac.